the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's the love in everything. Bring a change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to episode 325 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful rays. In the Pimpcast, where we find our place.
Oh, yeah. All right, this episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com. Yeah, we're going to have them on tonight, Shelli in particular, and we're also going to have Jason from Kentucky Sustainable Living, but we'll come to that in a minute. Well, turn that simp into a pimp. That's what we always say with that Hickory Ridge Soap, and I'm about to be a sharp-dressed man tonight, and I ain't talking about the... oh, shoot, I almost said LL Cool J, but y'all know who I'm talking about, ZZ Top. I don't know why I thought LL Cool J. Anyway, Living Soil Foundation, y'all, we're doing some pretty big stuff out here in Western North Carolina, and I want to thank everybody out there once again for all the donations that come in, because you're the ones making it possible, and just had the engineers back out. Just for the people that don't know, I know we've been kind of in limbo for a little while, had the engineers back out. And every trip they make, y'all, that's about $10,000 to get this kind of comprehensive test. So, yeah, when we're claiming we're doing things that are unusual, we're going to have unusual, well, not unusual, but very, very comprehensive test results. So, yeah. So thanks, everybody, for that. And we'll let you know how it goes. So it looks like from Wednesday, it's going to be another 2 weeks before we actually have those results. And then we will almost certainly have another show where we bring on Dr. Will, we bring on the engineers, the whole 9 yards, and we'll let you know how that's going. So, big news today on the farm. Well, big news for us anyway, out here doing all the farm stuff. And folks that are new to this, look, there's a lot of tasks you're going to do that are going to be repetitive, okay? So if you're a person that can't stand the mundane, well, maybe you're not cut out for this, because there's a lot of things where, you know, a lot of the videos that you see in a lot of the homestead channels, you're going to see the things that are, you know, spotlight projects or whatever, but they don't show you all the little things. Well, there's a lot of it that's kind of compulsory. Some things that are just, that are going to be repetitive. So we do those things every day. Sorry, I'm getting tied up here on my doggone grounding mat. And for us, one of those right now this time of year is bone sauce and comfrey. So a lot of people were emailing, asking if we had any more in stock, and we do. Limited on both, so if you want some, you might want to get in early, because hey, in the words of a not so wise ghetto philosopher, it do what it do. So it's pretty busy this time of year. So some other things going on. Got some eggs in the mail from my man John out there in Missouri. Yeah, that's how you actually say it, y'all. It's actually pronounced Missouri. Anyway, sent me some eggs in the mail, and you're thinking, okay, well, dude, you raise chickens. Why are you getting eggs? Well, these are those breast birds that I've been wanting to try for a while. A lot of folks out there have those ones that they're calling them these, but I was like, okay, I don't know. But my man, John, boy, he's all about it, and he is all about coming up with some really awesome birds. So I got the eggs in the mail, and got them in the incubator right now, and they are off and running. So, folks, if you haven't checked it out yesterday, you might want to check it out. It was a midday show, and it wasn't really impromptu. And by the way, everybody in the chat, if you would hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live, because Jason and Shelli are going to be on here in a little bit. Anyway, I had on Dr. Laura Sanger yesterday, and it might seem at first that the show was a little bit disjointed. You're thinking, well, what does that have anything to do with permaculture? Folks, you've heard me talk about these frequencies over and over and over again. The dissonant frequencies, and she's a consummate expert on the topic, okay? And a lot of what you've heard me say is partially cut and pasted from her work. Now, of course, I've credited her in the past with all the things I'm doing and the things I've done, whether it's that wave watch that I wear, or whether it's the solfeggio tones that I play, you know, overlaid with the scripture, the whole 9 yards. she was the one that actually woke me up to how powerful these things are. So, folks, a lot of the country right now, and I'm hoping to get her on the show here in a little while. I had her on a while back, a lady who is the consummate expert on all these things that are happening with these NextRad towers, that are happening with the chemtrail spraying, all those things. Hope to get her back on the show, and we're going to do a part 2 because what she's revealing right now will absolutely knock your socks off. And a lot of it has to do with these frequencies that they're putting out from these NextRad towers. If you see all these wavy lines in the clouds in the sky, folks, those aren't natural. They look like moguls, okay? That's not natural. And if you're seeing that, there's a reason for it. And right now, I was on the phone with her day before yesterday, Michelle and I, and she basically revealed, look, the hardest places hit, and I talked about this the other day, I'm just going to say it again for the new people. The hardest places hit right now that are constantly being hit mercilessly is Western North Carolina and the whole state of Texas. Now, I suspect there's some other hot spots around there too. She also revealed where every time I put something on X, people are saying, well, it's happening everywhere. No, it isn't happening everywhere. It's happening in North America. Well, I can't say it's happening worse in the United States of Amnesia than Canada's number 2, Western Europe's number 3. There isn't a chemtrail in all of Africa, the entire continent of Africa. No chemtrails. So you're telling me they're telling us these are just planes flying over? Well, it ain't happening there. And guess where else it's not happening? Anywhere from central Mexico all the way down to the bottom of South America. Guess we just had that a-coming. And like I said, folks, I'm doing the research once I can get 2 minutes to rub together to find out whether or not there's an overlay with the Deagle report and with all the chemtrail sprayings. I will bet $1 to donuts that when you look into the Deagle report and you overlay it with all the countries that are being heavily sprayed, I'm pretty sure you're going to find a correlation there. Now, if anybody wants to beat me to it, you knock yourself out. But anyway, if you haven't had a chance, because it's a way to, and it's a way that I've figured out, along with the work of Dr. Jack Cruz, a way to, how do I say it? I guess transmute the negative frequencies that are coming out. And there are ways in which you can kind of bring yourself back to center. And she talks about some of that in that podcast. So folks, you want to check that out because I'm trying to give you all these different ways in which to arm yourself for all these things that are happening right now. Okay. So, yeah, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for all these emails to come in from the same people that dogged me whenever, you remember about a year and a half ago, I told you Dan Bongino was garbage. And I told you I had the goods on him, and I told you I had the proof. Looking like I was right, huh? Yeah. All you folks that were telling me, oh, I love Dan Bongino, to hell with you, you arrogant black bastard. All those things that you people wrote into me, telling me all this nasty stuff about how I was crazy, huh? Looking like I'm the smart one now. Look, everybody, and I mean everybody, that guy can't post anything on the X without them coming down like a ton of bricks on him. And everybody's just now finding out what I knew a year and a half ago. Okay. And I'm not going to go hash that again, but I'm waiting, like all the people that were dogging me about the jab, haven't seen any apologies for that, but I was right. And a lot of you were right. And all the people that were dogging me about Bongino at the time where everybody was singing his praises. And I told you, he is Sean Hannity light. He is a piece of garbage. And now everybody's starting to find it out. You got to wonder, was he on Epstein Island too? Was Kash Patel out there with him? I mean, what do they got on this guy? Because it sure is looking like I was absolutely right once again. And folks, I'm telling you, I'm right on a bunch of other things too. And I haven't even talked about a lot of them, but I'm going to keep my powder dry till I have a little more evidence. But like I said, Dan Bongino was scum. And I told you from the very beginning, that guy, I mean, even the people that were the most ardent supporters of the Trump administration are now calling this guy everything but a child of God. And he deserves it. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, why don't we just call them Harold and Kumar? Harold and Kumar go to the FBI. Is that going to be a sequel or something? I don't know. But anyway, these guys are looking like complete dummies over there right now. But anyway, they're not dummies. They're just sold out. And there's some people that got the goods on them. All right, so Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Remember, I stay G'd up from the feet up, and that means grounded. And you know where you can go to get that. So 10% off with promo code PERMA at Redemption Shield. That Wave Watch, folks, anytime you see me out and about, I promise you. Now, on the farm, I don't use it as much anymore because I don't want to overuse it and desensitize my body. Michelle swears by the doggone thing. And a lot of other people out there that have bought it. I haven't heard from anybody yet that purchased one that was regretful about it, folks. Like I said, I wore that thing for probably 5 months before I ever even told you about it. And everywhere I'd go, people would say, dude, you need to get that off your arm. They thought it was an Apple Watch. It's not. It's a Wave Watch. And it shoots out those solfeggio tones like Dr. Laura was talking about yesterday. And it does a lot of other things too. So a lot of female issues and stuff like that seem to be greatly helped, especially when Michelle was going through a lot of that stuff. So anyway, Wave Watch, Billy 100 will get you $100 off. And then remember, Harvest Right has their deal going on from now till the end of May. So May 31st. So it's coming to a close. And look, I got my guests on right now, but I want to not read this article because I don't want to take time. These guys are waiting and I don't want to hold them up, but I do want to cover this one thing because it's on the heels of what I was just talking about a moment ago. This one came from Natural News. It says sunlight supercharges immune cells. Study reveals daytime boosts infection fighting power. Okay. All right, folks. Every time I find another hack, a biohack, or anything like it, I've been telling you about it religiously. And one of the ones that Michelle and I both do and have been doing for some time now is ever since I discovered the work of Dr. Jack Cruz, and I wish I could remember the name of the lady who turned me on to this guy. We've been doing it religiously every single day. And then when you get into his work, now, I would typically, during the course of a day, I'd have in my earbuds all day long. Now, I was using those ones I thought were safe. I don't use them anymore. If I can't listen to it without earbuds, this is the only time you're going to catch me with earbuds or anything around my ears these days. That's partially due to his work and what it's doing by screwing up the melanin in your semicircular canal, which is inside your ear, or wearing sunglasses outside. Worst thing in the world you can possibly do. I mean, absolute. And then Dr. Alexis Cowan, she's also saying the very same thing that, when I was doing construction, man, we wear sunglasses all the time. You got to wear safety glasses. So you figure, well, why not just put on sunglasses? Absolute worst thing you can possibly do. And putting on sunscreen, all these other things. Look, folks, I'm not going to go down the whole list of all of it, but there's a series of things that you can do that can greatly enhance your health and move the needle in a positive way. And one of them, and it's what we do, we were already doing it anyway, is getting up at the crack of dawn, getting out there before the sun rises and watching the sun rise, because it sets up the TCA cycle. Your pituitary gland, which is in the back of your eyes, man, it's getting supercharged. It's telling your body, okay, it's time to begin the day. And then the only way to do it is through natural sunlight. And then at night, when the sun goes down, you need to be shutting down most of the lights in your house. Okay. So that's why I do the podcast earlier than we used to, partially because of that reason. And, when I got to be around unnatural blue light, like when I'm in this studio, you see me wearing these blue light blockers, and there's a reason for that. This is all because of his work, folks. And I've been imploring everybody out there, please look into this guy. I'm sitting here thinking, when I discovered his work and when I have him on the show, man, I'm going to have to eat some crow, because here it is. I'm a Christian American heterosexual pro-gun liberty-minded decentralized permaculture designer. And I'm good on so many different topics. And when I say good, I'm talking regarding my animals, regarding my plants. I'm decentralized in all those things. But some of the most important things concerning my health, I thought I was decentralized until I found his work. And then I'm finding out, just like I teach everybody, when you take one step towards nature, you get 10 back to you. The same exact thing. I'm doing this in every area of my life, except when it comes to my own health. I thought I was doing it right. I thought I was following the right people. And I told you, and those people weren't giving you bad advice. It was just the best advice they had. So I'm going to encourage everybody. I mean, if you're going to listen to something during the day, listen to this guy's podcast. I mean, probably got to be within the top 5 smartest people on planet Earth right now. I kid you not. KRUSE, Dr. Jack Cruz. Now, he's a little rough around the edges, but I don't care, man. If at the end of the day, this guy's going to get me to the finish line, that's why I wanted to read this or bring up this article right now. And what they basically in this article cite is what I just told you right now. I'm just kind of giving you the cliff notes of it. So go out there, get that morning sun. If you can't do anything else, and do it while grounded if you possibly can. I know work limitations. I mean, folks, you just got to rehack your life in the best way you possibly can, because they are dropping it from the sky. They're dropping it in your food. They're dropping it through the screens that most of us look at all day long. They're doing it in every single way possible. And I'm letting everybody know what I find out, the things I'm doing. And folks, I got to say, it's moving the needle. My sleep is much improved. I'm not getting tired midday like I normally was. I mean, I do at times when they're really, really chemtrailing and stuff like that. But yeah, this is one of those hacks that everybody should know about. So Dr. Jack Cruz, KRUSC, hope to get him on the show. Well, speaking of getting on the show, yeah, let me go ahead and add them to the show right now. We got Shelli and Jason. How you doing, Shelli?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Jason?
Doing good. How are you?
Good to see y'all again after all this time. It just seems like forever and a day. Well, hey, I got to ask you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shelli.
I said it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has, but it's good to have y'all on. In fact, I need to start promoting your festival that you got coming up. But before we get into any of that, man, we do weird stuff on this podcast. I talk about everything from farming to politics to geopolitical things and health, you name it, all of the above, because I think we need to be aware of all of this stuff. And speaking of being aware, it seems as if the entire country has forgotten about what's happened right there in Kentucky. Jason, why don't I start with you? Actually, let me take that back. Ladies first. Man, everybody's going to think, what kind of Southern gentleman am I to not start with ladies first? Shelli, apparently there was a great, well, why don't you tell it? I mean, a series of events have happened up there, and absolutely nobody in the media is even saying a word about it.
Well, I mean, we had some really horrific tornadoes that came through. If that's what you're referring to, that's the only thing that I can think of recently that's been just horrible. One of them touched down in Somerset, Kentucky, which is about an hour east of me. And then it hopped over and hit London, Kentucky, like made a straight line through the Daniel Boone forest, tore down everything in that forest, and hit London, Kentucky. And oh my gosh, I don't know what the death toll is. Jason, do you know? The last I heard, it was like 24 or something like that.
Yeah, last I checked, it was over 20.
Yeah. So it's amazing. You know, when I first got in, when I was waiting backstage, you were talking about storms hitting Western North Carolina and Texas. The intensity of these tornadoes that is coming through, and most of the storms that we get are coming from Texas. Like when they're hitting Kansas and all of that stuff, Texas, it's moving up our way. But the intensity of the storm, it absolutely levels houses. Like it doesn't, used to, you'd be scared if you were like in a trailer or something like that. Now it doesn't matter. Like stick-built homes, very well-built homes, it is flattening them. If you can't get underground, you're in trouble. So me and a girl that I work with, we were talking about this the other day, and we're like, what is happening what is happening? One, that the whole Hurricane Alley has now shifted, and, Kentucky is part of that. How does that happen? I mean, and then the intensity of the storms, they're just, they stay on the ground for a long time, and they're massive. I don't know. And maybe it's just like a cycle thing. Maybe it's like ever so many, years or whatever, that's what happens. You just have big storms, but I don't know, like, with the stuff going on where you're at, this isn't normal. This is not, I don't know what to think about it.
Well, Jason, I just put on the screen, and for all the people that are listening in the audio format, God Picks the Kings wrote down geoengineering. That's going to be my vote. What's your thoughts on all this?
That's mine too. And William and I had a conversation about it the other day when he was headed to Colorado. We were on the phone for almost an hour talking about it. He goes, "What kind of minerals do y'all have in Kentucky?" I was like, "Heck," I was like, "I'm beginning to think we've got lithium too."
Oh my
Right?
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
And he started laughing.
Like, what are they after?
Yeah, and I'm like, I know we got all kinds of coal, but we came to the consensus that we probably got a lot of lithium here. But I'm with Shelly. It does seem like Tornado Alley has shifted, whether that is natural or whether it's man-made. And honestly, looking at all the stuff, I think it's probably man-made. I just don't understand why. It does. It seems like Shelly said the storms are getting more intense. We're getting hit more and more. And this spring has been the wettest spring I've seen in Kentucky, and I don't know when. I mean, it seems like every other day we're getting rain.
And somebody in your comments said groups of tornadoes, not just one or two here or there. That's another thing that when I don't know where y'all get your weather, but here in Kentucky we watch Ryan Hall, right? He's in Eastern Kentucky, and when he's on there, it's like that noise that happens when there's a tornado warning. It's just constantly going off. Like there's one on the ground here, there's one on the ground there, there's 5 in Kansas, there's 3 in Texas, and it's all happening at the same time in the same storm. And that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, and then something funny too, and I don't know if it was coincidence or what, but apparently they were doing work and some kind of work on the storm, the cow sirens, the outdoor warning sirens, and the weather radios. They were doing some kind of update or fixing those the last time that storm came through. And I'm like, how convenient. We're having a massive storm coming through, and they're working on the NOAA weather radios and outdoor sirens.
Yeah,
Like,
they said that they couldn't change they had this like date already set up, and they couldn't change the date of updating that stuff. And I'm like, what moron picked the middle of spring to do the update on the weather radios where people can't get notification that, there's a storm barreling down on them? Like what idiot was in charge of that call?
I'm not believing for a moment that it was an idiot in charge of that call. I think this was absolutely orchestrated, and I'll tell you why. Right. Every single time you have something of this caliber or something that goes down like this, you've seen it on 9/11. You've seen it on the 323 attacks. I can't remember, in London. Every single time some great calamity unfolds like this, there's always a drill going on at exactly the same time. Right. This is in fact, Webster Griffin Tarpley wrote a pretty impressive book. I'm pretty sure I got it in the library down there, where historically, it is an impossibility for all of these coincidences just to happen at exactly the same time that all of these great, whether it's some great conflagration or whether it's some sort of weather event or whether it's some sort of mass shooting, there's always a drill going on simultaneously when these things unfold. So I'm not believing at this point. At this point, there is nothing that shocks me anymore. But now that you told me that, I'm like, okay, now I'm reasonably sure that this was going off. And then, of course, if I get with Ariana Masters, I'll bet any amount of money, because she's actually the one doing some of the most pivotal work on this thing. I will bet any amount of money if I talk to her, and I got her and Dane Wigington on speed dial. I bet if I were to get with either one of them, and I wish I had before we got on this call, I bet either one of them would tell me that exactly as that stuff was going on, A, you were probably hit with tons of chemtrails dropping from the sky, and B, I'll bet the next rad radar towers, just like here in Western North Carolina, that just all happen to be steering these storms in exactly the way. It's beyond coincidence. And there's a lot of this stuff. It's starting to get noticed right now on Twitter. People are really starting to wake up when RFK Jr. is on with Dr. Phil, and people in the audience, when it's time for Q&A, they're asking, hey, what's up with all this stuff they're dropping from the sky? And what's up with all these crazy storms that are popping up in places that they shouldn't even – who ever heard of a freaking hurricane in Western North Carolina,
right,
dropping all the water? Or like you said, in Kentucky, I spent enough time in Kentucky. And believe me, I grew up in Oklahoma. I know what a May 3rd tornado looks like. It was the worst tornado ever, and I was there for it. And, you know, I mean, like you said, Shelly, in the very beginning, it's always hitting some trailer park. And of course, Channel 9 News is out there waiting. They get some old boy coming out there with no shirt on. You know, he comes out with no shirt on. And then I remember like it was yesterday. Of course, the one guy they got to talk to, he comes out. And of course, there's a disaster of a trailer park behind him. And they said, well, what was it like, sir? He says, I don't know. All I saw was cigarette butts and beanie babies flying around. So, but that's how it would always go. And it was always in my neck of the woods. I have never heard of this kind of stuff unfolding in, you know, Kentucky, for crying out loud. I mean, you know, you guys are definitely not Oklahoma, but how's things unfolding right now? I mean, are people getting back on their feet the best they can, or is it still, has the government helped out any, or are they just slow rolling that thing?
I know I talked to Kyle. Kyle's the executive director of Grindstone. I was going to go over and help Grindstone, but I had a family death, so I couldn't go. I've been tied up with that. But I was planning on heading over there. But Kyle and I have been talking, and he told me, he said, honestly, he said, I don't know how long we're going to be here. He said, there are so many people over there volunteering right now. He said, London is swamped with people. And he said, I don't know how much longer we'll be here just because there's so many people here doing stuff. So Grindstone, if y'all want to go, check Grindstone on Facebook, Grindstone Ministries. They update most of the stuff on Facebook. They've got a video coming out almost every day. Actually, there's a boy came in from Arizona. He was on his last leg on his car. This boy came to volunteer. They fixed his car up for him and baptized him yesterday.
Wow, man, that's some one-stop shopping.
Yeah. Get your new water pump and get dunked.
All at the same time, man. I like the way that sounds. Man, so I mean, are there any efforts out there? I mean, as far as I'll move on here in a second, but I want to make sure I touch this because these things have already, I mean, you consider what happened in Lahaina. Nobody's talking about that anymore. How about the LA fires? Nobody's talking about that. What about Paradise? Nobody's talking about that. Western North Carolina. Nobody's talking about that. What happened down in Florida? Nobody's talking about that. It's like it happens, and then it's like the disaster du jour, and then we move on, and then everybody forgets about the previous one. Meanwhile, the people are still suffering. So
Right.
Has the government done anything at all around there, or is this all just basically boots on the ground, local people and volunteers?
Well, Andy Bashir announced that, you know, they had gotten some federal aid from the federal government, I guess. But every time they announce stuff like that, me personally, like I know people, that tornado that came through and leveled Maysfield a few years ago, it also hit Bowling Green. I know people that were in that storm, that were affected by that storm. They never got a dime from anything for that. So when I hear about, you know, the government saying, well, we're going to send this much aid to Kentucky or do this, I don't know what they're doing with that money, but it's not going to people who need the money. It's the people that are volunteering and sending, you know, like me and you and all of that are sending money and going and helping and everything. They're the ones that make the difference. I don't know that the federal government makes any difference.
Yes. Hey, if I look like I was down here squirming, y'all, my headphones got caught up in the wheels of this chair, so I ain't no telling. This cat, Michelle's cat, rolled up in here, and I don't know what it did, but anyway, yeah, that seems to be always the case. I mean, it makes you wonder, why are we even paying taxes? I mean, if this is how it's going down, I mean, if we're all going to have to just look after ourselves, and which we ought to be doing anyway. I mean, and it just seems like it's just one. We are getting taxed to death. All of us.
Well, I got a question for you. So after Trump came into office, it was a big deal or whatever that he said that, you know, he was helping Western North Carolina, that you all were going to start getting funds and all of that. Did that ever happen?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So I can take you to places right now where there are debris piles 12 feet tall. I haven't done any videos as of late. I mean, I did it first, but I didn't want to look like a lot of the other gratuitous, media people out there that were just looking for content just to put out there. I did it at first, and then I just kind of laid off. And I've been thinking about, I'm glad you brought that up, because I could take you to Swannanoa, which I just drove by a couple of days ago. And it looks like it happened yesterday. I can take you to some other places where there's people still living in tents. I can take you to all, the place where Trump actually hit the ground in Swannanoa. I knew the people over there that were in very close proximity that were in that community. And when I went out there, got boots on the ground, they said they would not let these people come anywhere near that microphone. They brought in people from other places. They vetted them thoroughly. And then when Trump got up to the microphone, I'm like, okay, all those people that got up there and spoke after him, they weren't even in that community. I mean, they weren't even in the Swannanoa. They wouldn't let anybody in that community talk about, because had they let them get to the mic, man, people want to call me a conspiracy theorist. Well, they were going to tell you exactly how the cow ate the cabbage, and they didn't let them in there. So they brought in people that they vetted thoroughly. It was a dog and pony show. But to your point, as far as whether or not we've seen any of that money, if there's been any evidence of it, then I haven't seen it, because I can take you to bridges completely still washed out, debris piles, as I said. I mean, roads that are, it looks as if Godzilla walked all over this place. Yeah. And it doesn't look like the needle has moved in a lot of places at all. And with all the talk about all the money that came in, now, it wouldn't shock me if there's a massive misappropriation of funds. Maybe it got delegated here, but it's never seen if it's doing anything that I can't tell it. But the only needle we see moving around here is happening by people in small communities, and by and large, everybody's sort of forgotten about it. Meanwhile, there's still people, they've changed the regs and everything. Folks that were building in a certain place, all of a sudden they can't build there. It's a real mess, and it's an ongoing mess, and it's a toxic mess, and nobody's wanting to talk about that. In fact, I wish I had the paper with me. One of the local periodicals just came out with a little article the other day, and it's a real slick headline, like leading one to believe, if you just read the headline, that this area is absolutely clear, it's clean. Well, we had Dr. Will Spencer out here a couple of weeks ago. He tested it, and he was like, I wouldn't go anywhere near that river. But meanwhile, the areas that we're cleaning up using our extracts and stuff like that, we're finding out that it looks like we've not only crossed the finish line, but it's probably cleaner than it's ever been in living memory. So there are some rays of hope out there, but none of them are coming from the government at all. So, folks, this is why we end this show every single time. Stay alert, stay alive, because it really comes down to that. And it comes down to people like Jason and Shelli who build resilient communities around themselves, where they cross-train one another, and they do some incredible, incredible stuff. So that's what we're going to get into next. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Jason.
One thing, I live right outside of Bowling Green. Bowling Green and Warren County have gotten hit with some pretty good storms. Like, I've got a couple treetops down, but nothing major, nothing I can't take a couple days and clean up. And there's some bigger trees scattered around, but there's not like devastation. I think we had in the north end of the county, I think we had a little bit of like pea-size or marble-size hail. So nothing bad. But right down the road at one of the community parks, there's a FEMA headquarters set up for people to come in and get money for disasters. And I'm like, we didn't get storms that bad. I'm like, if you've got to go in and get FEMA money to cut up a tree, you're in pretty bad shape. So I don't understand why we've got a FEMA place set up for disaster relief in Bowling Green when there's not been that much damage. And
isn't that money that FEMA gives out? Don't you have to give that back? Isn't that what you all had to do in North Carolina?
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that part. Supposedly that whopping $750 bucks. What that get you groceries for? If you're lucky, maybe a month for a couple of people these days. So supposedly that was a loan, and supposedly a number of people are just absolutely, there's some destitute people out there. There's some people in a bad kind of way, and it looks like we've just been targeted. It looks like every single time you turn around, there's some disaster going on somewhere, and we start seeing, and folks, I'll bring the receipts. I brought the people on the show before. Dane Wigington, probably the foremost geoengineering expert in the world. And like I said, I can call him up anytime. And the stuff he's telling me, a lot of this stuff hasn't seen the light of day, but the stuff he's telling me, if the general public knew about it, it would probably knock your socks off as far as what they're doing, how they're doing it. And you got to start asking yourself, well, why? For what? What's going on? Is there something they want there? Are they just are we the carbon they want to reduce? I mean, you got to ask all these critical questions.
Yeah.
But when you get down to brass tacks on all this, I mean, it's good. I'm struggling just to get people to even care. Like within the region I live, everybody bought it when the local paper came out and said, everything's clear in North Carolina. There's no toxins. The river's fine. Go down there. We did the testing. Bear Independent did his testing, came out nasty. The engineers we hired came out, did testing, came out nasty. Dr. Will came out, did his testing. All of it came back nasty. It was 180 degrees out of phase with what they were telling us. It showed, honestly, that it was a toxic and still is a toxic mess around here. And meanwhile, the paper and the powers that shouldn't be are telling everybody, oh, it's all good. Go jump in the river. People are floating this river right now, and it's still a toxic mess. And when we came out and said, whoa, what they're telling you is a manufactured lie. That's not what's going on. All of a sudden, everybody came down on me. They came down on us saying, oh, well, show us your results. And I'm like, I find it curious that you don't only ask the government for their results, but you ask me for mine. I don't have a history of pathologically lying to people, but
Right.
They do. So you don't ask for their results. And then I told them, and I'll just leave this here, right? When I say this, I told the audience, I said, look, I'm not giving anybody my results until you show me that you got their results first. Don't you know a girl did it? She went out there and actually did it. And don't you know these dummies at Mountain True actually sent her the results that proved at the very same time they were telling everybody in Western North Carolina that it was all clear, that everything was fine. At the very same time, their testing results proved that it was worse than our testing results because some dummy in the office actually sent her the actual results. And she sent them to us. And I said, okay, well, hey, I'll keep my word. I'll send you mine. And I'm like, hold on. I had Dane Wigington look over the results. And he's like, dude, this is outrageous. This is off the charts. So at the very same time, and I still haven't blown the whistle on that one yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I mean, maybe some time to put it all together. But at the very same time, they were telling everybody it's all clear, everything's fine. Their testing results, which they accidentally sent to us, 2 different versions of them, prove that their testing, that the area was more toxic when they tested it. At the very same time, they're telling the newspaper it's all clear out here. So you got a lot of interest out here. We've had people try to bribe me, asking me how much money it's going to take, meaning, for me to stop what I'm doing in terms of cleaning up this area. And they found out real quick, I'm not for sale. What price do you put on your grandbaby playing in the toxic mess?
Right. You're going to be Billy the whistleblower, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and what that means at the end of the day, not only for me, but you guys are brave as well, speaking up and doing what you do and, taking a stand against these things. As you well know, doing the right thing doesn't mean you keep a job. So right. I'm going to do what I can. I'm making sure I'm cleaning up what I can. I'm looking after a lot of my next project is now looking after a lot of the old folks that live by that river that are surrounded by this toxic mess, or people that have kids, whatever the case. I'm trying to scale this whole operation up because once we prove that we've crossed the finish line here, then we have a decentralized way of cleaning up all of this. So all of those people, the mining interests and all the others that think they're going to come in and snag this land, well, you may have another thing coming when I have a decentralized method where everybody can go out here and clean up their own place and they don't have to sell off because, the powers that shouldn't be want their land. Yeah, I don't, you know what? I'm not going to go on about what I got going here, but because what you guys got going on is fascinating and fun. And it's a place where a lot of folks, because now let me preface what I'm going to say, folks. I made the prediction and I was right. Look, I know I've been saying that a lot this program, but I was right about Dan Bongino. Bam, I was right. And I was also right that when Trump got elected, most of everybody that got in the homestead space was going to go right back into the matrix.
Yep.
Well, that happened. but they're coming back out. They're like, oh snap. Gee, I'm still paying a whole lot for groceries right now. I'm still seeing shrinkflation. Bought a bag of chips the other day. It was a quarter full. It was all air. I should have known when I picked it up. So people are starting to say, whoa, maybe I jumped the gun on maybe going back to the suburbs. And now they're starting to circle back and say, okay, maybe I need to rethink this off, maybe not off grid, but, you know, being more self-sufficient in what we're doing. And both Jason and Shelli, folks, if you don't know about it, they put on a great festival where you can get caught up on a lot of this stuff. So let me kick it off to you, Jason. So what's going on with KSL this year, Kentucky Sustainable Living?
We kind of changed the festival up. A lot of people really didn't complain, but they're like, hey, tickets are $35 for 3 days. So you're looking at like $12 a day, $12.33 a day to come meet all these people, learn this stuff. People are like, why do I want to come and pay money for something I can hear on YouTube? And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, we'll fix that. You can't come and do a hands-on workshop on YouTube. So we've switched. We've still got a lot of speakers that are going to talk about topics that you really can't do hands-on stuff with. But we've got mostly, Shelli, what is it, 17 hands-on workshops that
16.
you can
16. Yeah.
Everything, honestly, from how to make sourdough bread, how to cook on wood stoves, how to pick locks and get out of handcuffs, to medical stuff. It's crazy. And Shelli can name off a bunch of the workshops, but we've switched it up. Instead of sitting in a seat listening to a guy talk about it, you're going to sit in a seat and do the stuff, and people are going to do hands-on and show you how to do this stuff, and not just something you can get on YouTube. You can't get this stuff on YouTube.
So is everything, Shelli, I mean, is all of it like a la carte sort of thing, like you pay for the training you want, or is it like there's no general admission? How does it work?
You pay $35 to get into the door. That gets you in for all 3 days, and the workshops are all weekend. I've actually got it scheduled out where every workshop but 2 of them, I think, will be happening once a day, all 3 days. So if you miss it on Friday, you can get it on Saturday or get it on Sunday. $35 pays for it all.
What?
Yeah. And we've got, so like Jason said, we've got a girl teaching how to do sourdough. We've got somebody coming in teaching dog training and using dogs for security. William will be there teaching composting. We've got somebody teaching how to process chickens. We've got a guy that's doing bushcraft and intro to knife, using knives. We've got a guy teaching canning. Bruce DeVries is going to be there teaching biochar. We've got a guy coming in, this 17 or 18-year-old kid coming in and teaching us how to pick locks. I don't know. That's kind of freaking me out a little bit, but we've got somebody that's going to do fermenting. We've got a lady coming in from Tennessee that's going to teach how to make dairy products like butter and yogurt. We've got a guy coming in teaching land navigation. And another one coming in doing beekeeping, cast iron cooking. We're going to teach you how to make bacon and sausage, how to use a chainsaw. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. Somebody wrote in there, 35. They said, well, I'm cheap, but man, $35, man, that's pretty inexpensive. I can't imagine anybody complaining for that, on a price like that. They're also asking, do you have a flyer for the event? They'd like to share the opportunity.
You can go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com, and that's our Facebook page. Melanie updates that for us, and it has all of the speakers, all of the workshops. She's got graphics for all of those that she puts out. And I just finalized the schedule, so that's going to go up. And then what else? You can also go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com and get on our newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter, and that goes out weekly, and you can get updates there as well. So,
and if you sign up for the newsletter, you get 10% off ticket prices too.
Yes, you do.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's kind of hard to beat. But folks, I mean, one of the big elements that you find, because I met Jason and Shelli both at different events. Folks, they didn't mention it so far, but we're going to get into it here in a second. one of the best things about going to a lot of these events is when I go, I'll be honest with you, half the time I miss half the classes because I'm too busy chit-chatting with the folks that I met at the previous events or the last times we were at.
Yeah.
So
It's
there's
like
a whole
a
lot of
family reunion.
exactly. It's exactly what Shelli said. It's like a reunion, a homecoming to a certain extent, because you're coming across friends that you may have met at another festival, and then you wind up meeting at these other ones. And in fact, a lot of us seem to go. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but a lot of folks seem to go to these things, not even so much for the classes, but for the community.
Yes.
I went to a lot of other festivals, and I don't listen to the people speak. I'm sitting back talking to people that I hadn't seen in 6 months or something like that. And it's like, hey, let's hang out. We'll catch it on the replay. Or one of the guys that's speaking, I know him, and it's like, hey, you can give me the gist of what you're going to talk about while me and you are just sitting here talking. And that's the awesome thing. I enjoy the people that come to it. I just talk and talk and talk, and I'm done by Sunday afternoon. It's like I don't want to talk for a week. So, and hey, also people are looking at it. It's July 18th, 19th, and 20th, and people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, Kentucky in July is horrible. It's 70 degrees. We've got air conditioning. The whole event is air conditioned. The only thing that will be outside are the food trucks." So it's going to be 70 degrees.
Well, the food trucks, and then also the cast iron cooking and the biochar making, because the lady that runs the venue will not let us build a fire in the building.
Which I don't know why she won't.
Right. Somebody in the comments was asking about kids stuff. I actually have a committee this year that is working on having kids activities. So we don't have that all hammered out yet, but that will be up on the website and go out in the newsletter in the next few weeks. But we've got some great events for the kids too.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jason.
The only thing that costs extra at the festival is Friday. Refuge Medical is doing a medical class. So that's the only thing. If you want to sign up for that, you can sign up. Refuge is coming in. This is their only class that they're doing not in Oklahoma this year. So if you want to catch a Refuge class and not have to drive to Oklahoma, this is your ticket to get it in Kentucky. And that class is $200.
And you actually have to go to refugemedical.com to sign up for that class. There's a link to it on our website. There's a banner across the top that's red. You can click on that and it will take you straight to their website and you can sign up for that class.
And that class is just $200. It's about half of what it usually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks, that good folks over there. Is Bear going to be teaching that class or somebody else?
Bear and Michael will be teaching that. So Bear's going to be there all weekend hanging out.
Oh, folks, you're going to want to definitely go. William's going to be there. Bear's going to be there. Shelli and Jason are going to be there. I wish I could be there. Folks, I'm telling you, it's not. Here's what I find out every single time I go to one of these things is I ran it. My friend Steve, I think for him, it must've been 6 hours away, maybe 7. I ain't sure, but we went at the very same one. I think where I first met Shelli. It was over there in, on the other side of Tennessee. I can't recall the name of that festival.
Back to the Land.
Back to the Land. That's where, Shelli didn't forget anything, y'all. I'm telling you what. She should have been a pimp because pimps don't forget nothing. But she is. Permaculture is her passion too. But anyway, Shelli, when I first met her, I was like, man, we were still kind of new to this area to a certain extent. Didn't know a whole lot of folks around here. I drove 6 hours away only to find out that, hey, I'm meeting other people that live within 30 minutes of me. And it's crazy because you meet community at places like this. Yes. You drive all that way just to find out, hey, there's somebody just down the road from me, and I wouldn't have never found them any other way. So, and then you build some lifelong relationships out of these things too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it is. And we've had people, one of our friends in KSL, he lives in Northern Kentucky. He was there at the very first festival. He met a couple that lived like 15 minutes from him. They would have never met if it wouldn't have been for that.
Yeah.
And it happens at every festival. You're going to meet somebody that you didn't know live right down the road from you. And it's happened to me. People that I didn't know that live 10 to 15 minutes away were interested in the preparedness and homesteading stuff. That it's like, hey, I didn't know you were into that. And it's like, I didn't know you were into it either. So.
Well, and we met Darren and Patty at that festival, the one that you're talking about. And Randy and I just went up to a festival in Northern Ohio at the beginning of May. Darren and Patty drove out from Kansas, and we and then also the Hudsons. They came over from, because they were at that festival too. They came over from Pennsylvania. We shared a Verbo and went to the festival and spent the weekend together. And those are all friends that we made at that very first festival. And now we're just like we talk, Patty and I talk all the time and everything. I mean, you make some great relationships.
Yeah, you do. And the best thing about it is that whenever you go to something like this, folks, you're going to find out that the breaking in period, when you meet, okay, let's say you start a new job. These people are maybe 180 degrees different from you. But when you go to a festival like this, you're already joined at the hip because you're already at a place where you already share that interest. Yeah. And you just go up to anybody. I'm telling you, you can go up to the most introverted person at something like this. And let's say you yourself are kind of introverted. You can go up to them, look, just ask, so, hey, what is it you do? And then bam, just like that, you're going to make a friend, because I mean, it takes, there's no feeling out period. There's no, hey, am I going to get along with this person? Do we have anything in common? You already got a lot in common by the fact that you're at this very same thing. Exactly. So if you're a person that's looking for community, and just like Shelli said, you know what? I now have friends all over this doggone country just because I would go to these things. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I got a friend out in Missouri right now, just sent me out some of these breast eggs that I got in the incubator right now. Wouldn't have met him had I not gone to, another festival out in Kansas. And then people that I've met that are up in Michigan, people that I've met that are all over this country right now, because all of us to a certain extent might feel isolated in the areas where we live. And we go to these things, and then all of a sudden it's like you don't want the weekend to end, because you're in the company of a bunch of people that don't think you're crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Oh yeah, you're living on a high all weekend long, and then Sunday comes and it's just like boom, you're off that high. And it's like this.
Like we got to go home now.
Yeah, we get the real world.
But like Shelli said, you exchange numbers, you wind up meeting up at another place, and then you hug, and then when you go to this thing, this is why half the time, I mean, I'm starting to wonder, man. I mean, when I go to these things, I usually, like the one I just went to in, oh shoot, man, I've got to so many of these doggone things. Like the one out in, I think I missed all but one class. I think I missed every single class that was out there, because I'm over here talking to this person, talking to that person. They're talking to me. And yeah, I mean, if you want to go to the classes, that's fine. And there's a lot of classes I would love to go to, but honestly, for me, being in the company of people that I know at least understand me. I know I'm a weirdo, but you know what? They're weirdo. It's like an aisle of misfit toys. Right. We're on the aisle of misfit toys.
Hey, but we've all got 5 fingers and 5 toes on each hand, right?
We don't think you're a weirdo, Billy. We're right there with you.
Well, we can all be weird together. So other folks are going to ask about, what are the accommodations around this place? Are there accommodations, or, folks I know are struggling these days. I mean, it's hard enough to put bread on the table, but folks, for $35, for crying out loud, you can't even go to a movie for that cost.
There's 28 RV spots that we have, 28 spots where you can bring a trailer and a camper and hook up there. It's on the website. Western charges us for that, so we have to charge for that. But Bowling Green's a good-sized city, so there's all kinds of hotels. KOA has tent camping, which in KOA I think is like 5 miles away from the venue. So you've got that. But yeah, there's plenty of hotels and motels in Bowling Green.
And there's plenty of Airbnbs and Verbos and stuff too, if that's your choice.
Yeah, and you know what? If you wanted to get there early and look around Bowling Green, I mean, you got the Corvette Museum. They even got the Corvette factory over there. I've worked there for probably, I don't know, maybe 8 months, I was living in Bowling Green, actually in Cave City. That's where I was, and then speaking of Cave City, not far from there, you got, what's that big underground caverns they got up there?
Mammoth Cave.
Mammoth Cave. That's right. You got a lot of other things around there. Let's say, you're going to go there. You want to make something out of it. Well, the kids are out, whatever the case may be. Take them to the Corvette Museum. Take them up to go see some natural wonders. I mean, they still don't even have those caves all the way mapped out as I understand it.
No.
So, yeah, like Jason said, you better be watching out for people with 6 toes and fingers down in them holes, waiting for Gollum to snatch you up out of there. You never know what's going to happen. Is there anything else you'd like to leave folks with before we bring it to a close? I mean, what else they should know about coming to this?
I've got 2 things. One, starting in June, the whole month of June, if you buy a ticket for the festival, you're registered to win a refuge class. That'll be in the month of June. So if you buy a ticket starting June 1st, you're registered in to win one of the refuge class.
And that's even if you buy multiple tickets. So say you buy 4 tickets for the festival, you'll get 4 entries for that class.
And probably, Billy, you've been involved with the first one we did. Probably the most important thing we're doing is Saturday night is a charity auction for Caleb House, which that's Bear's Child Sex Trafficking Rehabilitation Center. He's building a center in Oklahoma to rehabilitate children that have been trafficked. So we're doing Saturday night, we're doing a charity auction. This is open to the public. Whoever wants to come can come to the auction. We're going to auction stuff off. We're going to have a teriyaki and sushi food truck there. So if you want to buy food, you're welcome to buy dinner there and then come and sit down in the arena, and we're going to have an auction for Caleb House. So, Billy, you were at the first one we did for another one. There was not a dry eye in that place, was there?
No, sir. That was boy, that was really something. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't have been happier about it because everybody dug deep. And I will say I walked out of there broke because I spent every dime I had because when Shelli got up there and was talking about, and it was so heartfelt when Shelli got up there and was talking about the awful things. Folks, this is why these festivals and stuff like this is a party with a purpose. When she got up there and she's talking about the awful things that happen to these kids, folks, if you can, I don't know how anybody can hear this and not be changed in a massive way. In fact, I'm getting a little bit choked up even talking about it, but the fact that there's so many people out there that are willing to break bread, and I mean money, in a big way to try to move the needle just a little bit in trying to stop what once again should be our government. I mean, you can't seem to find, they couldn't find bin Laden forever in a day, but they could find Gaddafi's gold. They can't find who killed Epstein or if he did it at all, but somehow I forget the number of kids that just go missing, absolutely disappear in I mean, these kids aren't X-Men, man. They're not, just disappearing one place and going somewhere else. There's a giant operation unfolding right now, folks. And I think like everything else,
I don't know what's happening, but like right now on social media, it seems like across central Kentucky, there are teenagers disappearing right and left.
Yeah.
I mean, my social media stuff has been flooded with this kid is missing and this kid is missing and this kid is missing. And I don't know. I just, it makes my heart sick.
Mine too. And I tend to agree with Tammy. She says our government is involved. I mean, I don't know how they can't be when you have all these kids crossing the border or the ones right here that just disappear into thin air. Folks, you can't be, but look, this is how you move the needle. And this is why when you have selfless people like Jason and Shelli putting on something, and believe me, margins aren't that great when you put on a festival. They do it for the love and for the love of people, and to create something that's worthwhile and also make it a party with a purpose, which is exactly what they do with these things.
Well, Billy, you said you left broke. I bought a shaving bag, and I don't need it. I mean, I literally bought a shaving kit that one of the guys had made, a leather one, and I was like, why am I buying this? I was like, And of course, my wife's sitting over there laughing. She's like, "Why in the world did you buy this?" I was like, "It's not about the shaving kit." I was like, "You can use it."
Right.
I did the same thing, man. I bought a one of those water filters. I think I usually walk around at any given time with about $500 on me anyway, just in case, something goes down. And that's like my emergency money, that I got like hidden. Man, I dropped every single dime of it to buy. It wasn't what I paid for it. It was where the money was going and what it was going to do. So,
Exactly.
I left out of there broken. So I had to dip
Well,
in.
and even when we announced that, we had a goal of $10,000, we wanted to raise that much, and we were a few $100s short, and people just started coming up and putting $100 bills in my hand, and I was just bawling. It was amazing. It was an amazing night. We reached our goal. We were so thankful for all y'all that came out.
Yeah, and
if there's anybody that wants to donate stuff to the auction, get a hold of Shelli or I. We will gladly take stuff to auction off. I want to have, we can seat 300 people where we're having it. So if we're going to seat 300 people, we need 300 or 400 things to auction off. So if any of the listeners out there want to donate stuff, I don't care what it is. If it's a $25 gift card to Chick-fil-A, send it to us and we will sell that thing and hopefully double the money on that gift card. So there's nothing too big or too small. I mean, heck, if somebody's got a condo in Florida they want to give us to auction off, we'll auction that thing off.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would, man. You guys do fantastic stuff. And honestly, I feel so lucky to know you. And man, I mean, it's just, folks, I would have never even met Jason and Shelli had I never gotten out the front door. I'm something of a hermit, as many people probably know. I'm something of a hermit. Unless I got a reason to go somewhere. And had I never got off my butt to go do this event or that event, I'd have never met them. And folks, and these are just two of many of the people I've met going to these things. And you become more fulfilled. You find out, man, you kind of cross-train one another. They give you a tip about something. You might help them out with something. And then you build this, we'll call it a Rolodex of people, a coalition of the willing, I'll call it that. And that's what you build over time. So folks, not just the classes, but honestly, it's the fellowship that you get out of it. Yeah. Well, once again, tell everybody, Shelli, where and when for this event. And I'll be sure to promote this thing and we'll have to get you guys back on before you kick it off.
So the event is in Bowling Green, Kentucky, July 18th through the 20th. It's at the WKU Ag Expo Center. All of that information is on our website, KentuckySustainableLiving.com. Somebody was asking in the chat if I had an email. You can get me at Shelli, it's SHELLI, at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. That email comes to me. So, if you guys have anything that you want to donate, you can also get Jason at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. So, we'd love to see you. Come and spend the weekend with us. It's going to be a good time. People, we just have a great time.
Yeah.
Is Darren and Patty going to be at this one? Or are they doing any teaching, or is it just what you got on there?
Darren and Patty are going to be there, but they're not. They usually come and help us with the festival, but they're not actually teaching anything this time.
I put MacGyver to work.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, when a problem comes up, I'm like, Darren, take this, please. And he's like, sure. He gets his baling twine and a knife out and fixes the world.
Man, I'm telling you what. Yeah, he could. He absolutely could. Ain't no doubt about that. Well, hey, y'all, it's been such a joy to have you on. And thanks, everybody in the chat. Look, if you can make it to this festival, you're going to be glad you did. It's always a joy to have Jason and Shelli on. And folks, I really wish I could make this one. It's just me and Michelle just kind of managing things around here right now. And we're going at 100 miles an hour like a lot of you are too. But folks, if you can get over there, trust me, you're going to be glad you did. This is definitely one you want to check out. Until next time, y'all, stay alert, stay alive.
Knowledge rings, roots that run deep, wisdom from soul, permaculture dreams. Let the ideas unfold. I'm moving with the truth. Feeling nature's food. Who's got the answers? All we need to do watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive. Tune it to the beat, feel the vibe and thrive.